Hi, this is Cindy from Vintage to New. Today we're going to try to recycle this little top from a size 10 down to a size 2. So don't delay, let's get started right away. Hey, so why would you want to remake a size 10 top down to a size 2? Well, here's my reasoning behind it. I purchased this at a Goodwill Outlet store. It was about $1 because you buy it by the pound. So about $1. It came with the wonderful little print knit, the underneath t-shirt, the buttons and everything. The other thing is, I personally have a really hard time finding cute knit prints and that are the right weight. Sometimes they're too heavy or sometimes they're too thin. They have lots of extra things, rayon and I don't know, spandex and all kinds of things put in with the knit. This was a little Oshkosh size 10 top that's been made down to a size 2 now. And I love the feel of the cotton. It was a good weight and everything matched really well. I didn't have to try to find just the right pink, just the right print, just the right buttons. It was already done for me. So let's get started. A couple of the things I wanted to point out. This little top has a really cute, it's a stretchy knit top, and it has a really cute little hem detail down here at the bottom that I would like to keep. It also has a really fun little neckline here where it comes down to a V, and it has the little mock, looks like a t-shirt underneath, but this is attached. It has short sleeves with the mock one-piece sleeve that goes inside. So we're going to keep all of those details. The way that I'm going to do this is I have a pattern piece for the size top that I would like to make, and I'm going to just pay attention to things like this is the bottom of the neck here, all right? So I want to keep the bottom of the neck on my pattern piece. I'm also going to keep this center front of the pattern close to the center front. Modifying a top like this, you have to remember to keep the neck opening up here big enough to go over their head, or you need to put something in the back, a button or a snap that can be undone so they can get it over their head. Okay, I wanted to show you that I just cut the sleeves off right here, so it looks like this. All right, I'm going to set those aside. And then on closer examination of this top, even the maker had taken the binding and just sewed it into the side seam or into the neck seam like that. So I'm going to do the same thing. So basically, the next thing I'm going to do is just cut down the sides here and separate the back from the top. So here's the back piece. And here's the front piece. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and figure out how I want to cut this to fit my pattern piece. All right, let me pull this closer for you. You can see that I've cut one side of it. You can see how much that I've cut off on the side here, and then I made the sleeve opening fit my pattern piece. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just fold this over and cut the other side the same. Okay, you can see that the bodice, I made it a little shorter, but it's still going to be high-waisted even on the size 2. The rest of the bodice and that little button is here, and so what I'm going to do is cut across the top of this skirt. Okay, I've placed the right side of the bodice to the back right sides, and you can see the shoulder here is quite a bit different, the arms are different, and then the width and length is different. So I'm just going to cut my back to match my front. I find that in little children's clothing like this, the front and the back are usually really close to the same. As you get older, the back becomes a little bigger to give you more room across your shoulders. But in this size, cutting them the same is just fine. So I'm going to cut my back to match my front. Okay, so just like any other project, we're going to put the right sides together and sew our shoulder seams. Okay, so just that quick, we have the bodice done, and all of this neck binding and everything was done by the factory. I didn't have to do it, so it looks really good. The one thing I did use my serger when I did this sewing, but you don't have to. You can do that with a regular sewing machine. Just use a stretch stitch when you do it. The other thing is I went back and forth here with my sewing machine 2 or 3 times because there's going to be a lot of pulling on that shoulder seam as it's taken on and off. Also, I took out the size 10 tab. So anyway, the next thing we're going to do is work on our sleeves. Okay, I measured my sleeve and cut off the length that I wanted, leaving enough to do a hem. So now what I'm going to do here is, because I need to take this in here in the armpit about 1/2 inch, okay, and then I'm going to sew all the way down to the end. I'm going to cut this open, and while I have it open, I'm going to put the hem in the bottom because this is so tiny going around here. It's really hard, and I don't have a machine that's good for doing that, but I am going to do it on my sewing machine. So let me cut this open, put the hem in it, and I'll show you what we'll do next. Okay, I just used my sewing machine and did a double row of stitching, and I did run it through my serger, but you wouldn't have to. Also, this is a good spot if you wanted to use a double needle on your sewing machine. If you know how to do that, that would be great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my right sides together, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off about 1/2 inch here and then just taper it down to you know, not cutting off much down here. The rest of this is just fine, but this up here, the sleeve opening, needs to be about 1/2 inch on each side, so 1/2 inch total smaller. So I'm going to cut that off. So here's what I cut off, and you can see I tapered it down. So you can see that this is still attached, the 2 pieces together, and chances are you may not find a shirt like this, but I'm just showing you how this one was with the little gather here at the top. So now what I'm going to do is take and put right sides together and pin my sleeve into place. Alright, I'm going to match the center of the shoulder seam with the center of the sleeve and then just pin it into place. So you can see I have it pinned into place, and this is that old seam here, and I put it above so when I sew I'm sure that this is going to be cut off. So anyway, I have it all pinned. Now I'm going to sew my sleeve into place. Okay, you can see it's all sewn into place now. I sewed it on my sewing machine first, and like I said, you could just do that, but then I went back over it with my serger after I was done. So now what I'm going to do is put right sides together, and we're going to sew the underarm seam. So this is the bottom of our bodice here. Here's the underarm here. And we're going to sew all the way down to the end of the sleeve. So here is the underarm seam sewn, and the last thing I did is I went over to my sewing machine and I sewed back and forth 3 or 4 times right here because there's going to be a lot of pulling on that. So now all we have left to do is to reattach the skirt to the bottom of the top. So let's go get that. Okay, so you can see I attached the skirt. All I did was run a gathering stitch around the top of the skirt, put right sides together, and attach it to the bodice. So the beauty of remaking an outfit like this is the buttons are already sewn on, the binding's already on, the sleeve binding's on, and remember we had this really cute little hem. So for a size 10, this was a top for a girl. I left it extra long like this. It'll be dress length for a little 2-year-old.